I believe that euthanasia can be morally justified under the right conditions, but those conditions must be exact. They must be very strictly adhered to, with the consent of someone who is of sound mind. I believe that it can be justified to help them end their life if they are suffering, if they are in a reasonable position to believe that they will not be helped by anything other than death. However, it has often been shown that following this line of thought can lead to terrible consequences. For example, the present-day Canadian euthanasia program, in a sense, coerces its people into ending their lives when perhaps they aren't ready. It takes advantage of those who are not of sound mind, and it guides them towards death, when this is no different than talking a suicidally inclined person who's suffering from extreme depression into committing suicide. It is no different. It is every bit as reprehensible and every bit as much an act of murder to do so. When alternatives can be presented, they must be presented, and we can't simply tell everyone who is in pain to kill themselves, and indeed help them kill themselves, just because it is easier, just because it is cheaper to do so. That's the height of moral depravity and a lack of regard for human life. This must be opposed, and unfortunately this raises the question of whether government-assisted, government-condoned euthanasia can ever be enacted without incurring these not necessarily foreseen consequences, namely that it will result in abuse of the system. Although it is true that many have warned about this before it became law. So perhaps it is our fault, those of us who were willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, were willing to see the benefits, and were willing to reserve judgment on the costs. Perhaps it is our fault that we did not see the eventual danger that could occur from taking what seemed like the well-intentioned path to alleviating the suffering of the terminally ill, of allowing those who are suffering and have no hope to have a dignified death. Perhaps that is simply impossible, at least without a great deal more oversight, without a great deal more openness and a willingness to accept whether something is good or bad on its own merits, and not allow it to become a strictly ideological question. Perhaps it requires an openness that we are not prepared to engage in as a society as of yet.